My dad told me I could save his wife after her miscarriage by letting her adopt me. He said she'd earn the title of mom whether I liked it or not. I told him I wasn't a replacement baby. The silence afterward felt like a punishment. My mom died when I was a baby. I don't remember her voice, but I grew up with her side of the family. Every summer, my maternal grandparents and aunts filled in the blanks with stories and old videos. I never felt a whole. Dad met my stepmom when I was 7, and everything moved fast. 6 months in, after I'd met her a handful of times, she sat me down and smiled too wide. "I love you," she said. "I can't wait to give you another mom." I said, "I don't want another mom." Dad just stared at me like I'd said something rude. After they married, the pressure became constant. Gifts that came with expectation. Hugs that felt like tests. Little pauses where she waited for me to call her mom. I stayed polite and I stayed firm. When I was 9, they called a family meeting. She announced she wanted to adopt me. "It's my dream to be a mother," she cried. "I love you so much, it hurts." I said, "You're my dad's wife." She grabbed my hand. "Just try. Just do it because you love me." Dad snapped. "There's no woman more deserving of being a mother than her." I told them the truth. I don't love her like that. Dad put me in therapy like I was broken. My therapist told him I had healthy boundaries. I wasn't traumatized. I just didn't want a replacement mom. Dad called that the therapy not working. Eventually, they stopped pushing and tried for a baby. Years later, IVF finally worked. She got pregnant, and for a minute, the house felt lighter. I was happy for them because I thought the pressure would finally die. 3 weeks ago, she miscarried at almost 15 weeks. She spiraled hard and ended up hospitalized. Dad turned into a ghost, and I kept the house running. Then he walked into my room and looked determined, not sad. "She's broken," he said. "The only thing that will save her is you letting her adopt you." Everything went slow, like the air got thick. First, he said, "Sign the papers." Then I said, "No," and I didn't look away. Next, he said, "She needs a son right now." Then I said, "I'm not a consolation prize." After that, he stepped closer, like my answer offended him. Then I said, "I'm not a replacement baby." Finally, I said, "Stop trying to erase my mom." He stared at me like I was disgusting. "I'm disappointed in you," he said. "Where's your compassion?" I said, "Compassion isn't lying about who I am." That night, I called my aunt, my mom's sister. I told her everything, shaking the whole time. She told me I could stay with her. Then she dropped something I didn't know. Years ago, my mom's parents asked Dad to make sure I always knew who my mom was, and he replied, "A kid needs a living mother, not a ghost." Suddenly, the last 10 years made 6 sense. Dad didn't just want a new wife. He wanted a reset button. Dad tried again over dinner, just the two of us. "She's in bed feeling like she failed," he said. "You can fix that." I said, "You keep asking me to lie." He slammed the table. "She's been more of a mother than a woman you don't even remember." I stood up. "You can't force love, and you can't force a replacement." I packed a bag and went to my aunt's. Dad's side of the family blew up my phone. People who barely talked to me suddenly called me cruel. Nobody asked what Dad had been doing for 10 years. Dad started calling my aunt instead of me. He acted sweet until she didn't fold, then accused her of poisoning me. He reminded her I was a minor, and he was my legal guardian. That's when it clicked. This was never about love, it was about control. When he finally called me, he skipped the hello. "If something happens to her," he said, "I hope you can live with yourself." Then he went lower. "If your mother were alive, she'd be ashamed of you." After that, he contacted my school counselor and hinted I was unstable. He started withholding extra money, just enough to scare me. Some nights I almost gave in, not because I wanted to, but because I was tired. But I kept seeing 9-year-old me on that couch hearing, "Just do it because you love me." I knew if I said yes now, I'd be teaching them that guilt works, and I wasn't doing that anymore. So I stayed with my aunt. I finished school without walking on eggshells. I counted down the days until I was legally free. He could keep his script. I kept my mother.